to fly by, but we appreciate the support of the Chamber and the entire community over these past 15 years. Our agency works with clients across the state. That means every day we help businesses, organizations, and nonprofits meet their goals. And we do that through a combination of tools, which include developing a strategy and figuring out the best tools and message to help reach the client's goals. And then we use branding, graphic design, content development, websites, digital marketing, and video to help communicate that messaging to the correct audience. But today I'm excited to tell you about a statewide endeavor that New Boston has been working on since late 2018 that really had its origins at a Manhattan Chamber of Commerce task force meeting. And actually what I'd like to do is play a video that I think sums it up really well. And then after that video, I'll just take a moment to make an announcement. So let's see if I can get this screen share to work like it is supposed to. Please tell me if it's not playing.
A few years ago, when I was the chair of the board for the Manhattan Area Chamber of Commerce, our members told us they were having more and more trouble finding skilled workers, which is a problem that our state has been facing for many years. To combat the workforce shortage, I led a task force to come up with new and innovative ways to help businesses find, recruit, and retain skilled talent. Among other ideas, our group identified the need for a marketing campaign that would show parents the amazing opportunities their kids could have in the high-demand, high-wage careers available in the skilled trades. Parents are the greatest influence in a child's life, so it makes sense to ask parents to help their children consider all the possible educational and career paths their child can choose from. These pathways include on-the-job training, apprenticeships, tech and community colleges, as well as four-year colleges and universities. So I took this crazy idea back to my team at New Boston Creative Group, and we, along with leading industry partners, decided to take on this challenge. The campaign is called Higher Paths, and its goal is to celebrate the many different routes a young person can take to launch their career. We tell stories every day about how young people from across Kansas and our neighboring states started their careers, as well as showcasing businesses that are doing innovative things to recruit and keep talent in our state. We are so fortunate to have three leading Kansas employers helping us get this program off the ground: Textron Aviation, Stormont Vail Health, and the Kansas Contractors Association. But now we need more partners on board so Higher Paths can do great things for the future of Kansas. If you're a parent, please follow us on social media and share what you learn with your children. Keep an open mind when talking with your kids about careers. The workforce has changed a lot since you and I were in high school. If you're an educator, sign up to receive stories and articles in your inbox that you can share with your students and their families. And if you're a business person who's concerned about building a strong future workforce, contact me to talk about how your company will benefit from an investment in Higher Paths. Together, we can do great things to ensure the future of today's kids and the great state of Kansas.
The announcement I wanted to make is we are super excited that Kansas State Department of Education Commissioner Randy Watson has included us in his plans for spending the SR2 money from the federal government. And so Higher Paths will be receiving a 3-year grant from the state to help us expand our program and be able to make an even greater reach both into the schools and into families and into households across the country. Or I mean the state. It's early, guys, sorry. One of the exciting things we'll be able to do with these funds is to create a video series for elementary and middle school students that will introduce them to careers they maybe have never heard of. If kids don't know about a career, they can't ever decide that's what they want to be when they grow up. So we're very excited. So if you know of a career in your industry that you'd love to introduce to kids, please shoot me an email. And if there's a way that you would love to get involved with this program, let's sit down and talk. There's lots of opportunities for businesses across the state to get involved with Higher Paths. And with that, I'd like to turn it back over to Jason and today's speakers. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, Kristen, and congratulations. Excuse me, I'm getting some feedback there. Okay. Thank you and congratulations on your grant. That's exciting news. And of course, workforce is a huge issue, not only in Manhattan, but across the state, across the country right now. So it's a very important endeavor. And thank you all for your support there. And thank you all for your support to the Chamber generally You do a lot of work for us and we appreciate that. A lot of great work for us and we appreciate it. Okay, so a couple of reminders. Please keep your lines on mute. If you have a question, please put it in the chat box, and as time allows, we will ask our speakers your questions. Any questions we don't get to, we'll do our best to get those to you at a later time. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our first speaker, who is Robin Cole. Robin Cole is the Executive Director of Pawnee Mental Health Services. She's a licensed specialist in clinical social work. Robin completed a bachelor's degree in social work from Kansas State University and a master's degree in social work from the University of Kansas. Robin has been the Executive Director of Pawnee Mental Health for the past 15 years. Robin and her husband, Terry, claim 11 children, 4 of their own, and 7 who they hosted as high school exchange students through AFS. They have 3 grandchildren and hope for more in the future. So please welcome Robin Cole.
It's good to be here this morning. And I'm going to share with you my screen. And let me ask, thumbs up, is it showing? Very good. Mental health in the workplace. And so Pawnee Mental Health is celebrating our 65th anniversary this year. We started as the Riley County Mental Health Center on November 19th of 1956. One of the things that we did as a part of this 65th anniversary celebration is we unveiled a new website. And so if you're interested in checking out our new website, we would encourage you to look at that at pawnee.org. May is Mental Health Month. We are very grateful to our Riley County Commissioners and to our City of Manhattan Commissioners for declaring May as Mental Health Month. This year's National Mental Health Month theme is Tools to Thrive. The Mental Health Association of America chose to use the same theme as they used last year. They changed up the logo a little bit, but stuck with the theme. Mental health in the workplace is a significant concern. We know that 1 in 5 adults will experience a mental health problem in their lifetime. And with COVID, what we saw was a dramatic increase in the number of people who were dealing with either anxiety or depression. You can see the Centers for Disease Control reported that in November, 44% of us were dealing with either depression or anxiety. In 2020, employees were more stressed than ever. Studies showed that employees were more worried about physical and mental health. They were more anxious about their financial well-being. They were more concerned that their employers or supervisors would be unsympathetic to the stresses they felt. And more than half were actively looking for another job. It goes without saying that businesses were also more anxious about their financial well-being, as the impact of the pandemic was uncertain and it was not known what would happen with their businesses. It's also very concerning to know that more than half of our employees were actively looking for another job. We all know that there are significant issues with regard to being able to recruit and retain talent. And so it's important for us to realize to some extent the fact that the stresses of 2020 caused an increasing number of people to be looking for other work. This morning, I'm going to share with you a high-level overview of a report that was published by Mental Health America. This is the 3rd annual Mental Health America Workplace Health Survey called Mind the Workplace. The 2021 Mind the Workplace report was a survey that was available to the public through Mental Health America's website. Because of that, I think that one thing to consider is that it does reflect the feelings of employees who were at most risk of burnout. There were 16 questions answered. There were 5,030 responses that were given between February 13th through September 9th of 2020, and responses were scored on a Likert scale. One of the main themes of employees and their concerns was financial insecurity. Employees who reported earnings of less than $60,000 a year were concerned about their financial situations. Nearly 2 in 3 said they couldn't save for an emergency, and about 1 in 3 said that they couldn't afford their healthcare costs. Another concern was employee burnout. Most employees were experiencing early signs of burnout. Some employees who were experiencing exhaustion, for example, reported that workplace stress was affecting their mental health. And then nearly 1 in 4 employees were experiencing what would be considered a more severe sign of burnout, which included reduced professional efficacy and also cynicism towards their coworkers and their jobs. Another key point of the 2021 Mind the Workplace report was about supervisor support. Employees said in that survey that they were not receiving adequate support from supervisors to help manage their stress, and that talking to a supervisor to change stressful things about work was most strongly correlated with the healthiest overall workplace health scores. An important thing for us to think about as we consider our relationships as business owners, as managers, as supervisors, as we interact with our employees. Employees who said that they couldn't talk to their supervisors about job stress were less likely to perceive their workplace as a safe environment. And then employees who feel acknowledged at work are less likely to seek out other employment opportunities. That's a key kind of reminder for all of us, again, as business owners, operators, supervisors, managers, directors, that when we're acknowledging the work of our employees and giving them support and encouragement, they are less likely to seek out other employment opportunities. The last piece of the 2021 Mind the Workplace report is about workplace stress and mental illness. Nearly 9 in 10 employees reported that their workplace stress was affecting their mental health. Over 65% found it difficult to concentrate because of their work environment, compared to 46% of the respondents in 2018. Remember, this study has been done on an annual basis for the last 3 years. Nearly 3 in 5 employees felt their employer did not provide a safe environment for employees who lived with mental illness. And again, the majority of employees surveyed were seeking new employment opportunities. So what are we supposed to do? I think it's important to call out that not only do our employees have mental health concerns that we need to be mindful of, but we too have mental health concerns for us to pay attention to. And so this next section is really about both how we can advise our employees, but it's also about things for us to consider for our own mental health in our roles in the workplace. Probably one of the first things that we can do is to accept reality. You know, sometimes in life we end up in situations that we can't change. Acceptance is about fully accepting our reality in situations that are beyond our control. I think so much happened in 2020 that clearly was beyond our control. And accepting things beyond our control doesn't mean we like the situation. It doesn't mean we approve of it. It doesn't mean that we're giving up or that it doesn't hurt. We're still allowed to and should feel. But by accepting things as they are, we give our problems less power over us and we can begin to move forward. The second step in the Tools to Thrive toolkit is adapting after trauma and stress. You know, we all face trauma, adversity, and other stresses throughout our lifetimes. And I think 2020 really sort of brought that all together in different ways for different people. When people think of trauma, they often think of things like abuse or terrorism, catastrophic events. But, you know, trauma can also be caused by events that might be less obvious, but can still overwhelm our capacity to cope, like maybe frequent arguments at home, or losing our job, or maybe arguments with our employees or our supervisors. Trauma of any kind can be hard on our mental health, but as we work on becoming more resilient, it can help us feel more at ease. Dealing with anger and frustration. You know, in challenging times, we oftentimes find we have little patience with other people, or maybe we get upset over minor things. Anger and frustration are complicated emotions that a lot of times emerge from other feelings, like maybe disappointment or fear or stress. If we take some extra steps to decrease our overall tension, that can help prevent our feelings and the reactions that emerge from our feelings from spiraling out of control. The fourth tool, or the fourth step in the Tools to Thrive toolkit, is getting out of thinking traps. You know, it's easy to fall into negative thinking patterns and spend time bullying ourselves or dwelling on the past, which of course is over, so we don't have any control over it, or worrying about the future, which of course isn't here yet, and so we don't have control over it either. It's just a part of how we're wired. You know, and another thing to think about is that our human brain reacts more intensely to negative events than to positive ones. And as human beings, we're more likely to remember insults or criticisms than we are to remember praise. During tough times, it can be especially difficult for us to manage. And it's really easy for them to spiral out of control. I think that's especially true if we are isolated or not receiving support or interacting with individuals. When these thoughts become worse in our head, those are called cognitive distortions. Fifth step, you know, change is a guaranteed part of life. It's something everyone experiences at one point or another, good or bad. Sometimes the change that happens in big ways when we aren't expecting it or aren't prepared for it. These types of situations can make navigating our path forward really difficult. But by providing ourselves with tools for processing change, we can adapt more easily. The sixth step is taking time for yourself. This is especially important for people who are in leadership positions or business owners or managers. There are a handful of roles that each of us are juggling. Sometimes we're parents, we're students, employees, caretakers. And when we're struggling with mental health concerns or just feeling overwhelmed, the idea of taking time out for yourself may seem unmanageable, but it's probably more important under those circumstances than it is any other time. Finally, I just would like to conclude with providing you some resources for managing your mental health. Of course, Pawnee Mental Health is here to serve you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. We also offer mental health first aid classes that give lay people the skills that they need to know how to interact with individuals with mental illnesses. Other resources include NAMI, the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. And then if you want more information about the 2021 Mind the Workplace report and about the Tools to Thrive, please go to Mental Health America, and their website is mhanational.org. Thank you very much.
All right, Robin, thank you so much. As always, we appreciate the information, and it's very helpful as we are getting people back into the workplace. So thank you for being with us today. Our second speaker is Jared Wasinger with the City of Manhattan. Jared is overseeing the strategic planning process and is here to talk a little bit about how you all can get engaged with Crossroads MHK and what exactly that is. Jared is the assistant to the city manager for the City of Manhattan and has served in that role since 2017. Prior to his current role, he served as a management assistant for the city and received his Master of Public Administration degree from Kansas State University in 2016. So please welcome Jared Wasinger.
Thanks, Jason. And shout out to Charlotte for all the coordination for Good Morning in Manhattan. I look forward to when we can all get back together in person for some breakfast in the morning as well. So, but for now, I got a short presentation for you all, and gonna really just give you an overview of Crossroads MHK here briefly. Hopefully you've heard of this, and this isn't the first time that you've heard of Crossroads MHK and the strategic planning process that we're doing with the city of Manhattan. So I'm going to go over that briefly, but then really dive into round two and the draft elements that we have created. The process started back in January when we selected Planning Next, a consulting firm out of Columbus, Ohio, to help us facilitate this process, not only with the city staff, the city commission, but most importantly, the public and stakeholders in the community. Before I dive in, because I know we're short on time, but I want to start off with the slide that we kicked off the first round of engagement back in March and April with our virtual meetings. And it's this quote about how communities should be a platform for human potential. That's something that has stuck with me, and Planning Next has been utilizing in many of their planning processes to get people thinking about why strategic planning, why do we need to do these things as a city. And it is really at the forefront of it is so we can be a platform for human potential for our residents and our visitors. Again, this is really an opportunity, the first ever opportunity that we've taken to develop a citywide strategic plan that will guide decision-making and investment within our community. It is focused on city government and how we spend our resources, how our staff utilizes their time, and how we spend the public tax dollar at the end of the day for our community. So we're looking through this plan to really create some visions for what we want to be in the future and to start prioritizing a lot of the city services, programs, and projects and investments that we do on an annual basis. The Crossroads MHK name kind of came from the fact that we're at a stagnant possible point in our time here in Manhattan. We're seeing some stagnant growth, flat revenues. The pandemic really brought that on, but we had been seeing that prior to it. The last couple budget seasons, we've heard from our city commissioners and the public not to possibly raise taxes. So we have to balance the growth of the community, the continued services that we need to offer, and really start looking at prioritizing where we need to be and what we need to provide our community. So that's why we started on this process. We had a first round of public engagement back in March and April. We had over 1,000 members of the public participate. We had virtual meetings, online surveys. We did some focus groups with some targeted areas, as well as we tried to reach some harder to reach populations like the high school and the college. We did hear from a lot of almost 100 college students, as well as 100 high school students, and almost 100 folks affiliated with Fort Riley. In addition to all of that public engagement, we did some external stakeholder meetings. We did one with the Chamber Leadership, Kansas State, Manhattan Area Technical College, USD 383, and some social service agencies. Did a lot of interviews with city staff. And we also have a community project committee, as well as a staff technical committee guiding this process as well. The second round is really the reveal of the first draft elements of the strategic plan. We took all of the input and we formulated some draft vision statements, looking out about what we want to be over the next 10 to 15 years. We drafted a new mission statement for our organization and actually started defining some draft goals and outcomes. I do want to preface before I start going through some of these draft elements that our planning consultants took all of that input and they drafted these elements of the strategic plan. And that's how we based the second round of engagement. City staff, the city commission, we didn't take that first draft and tweak it and wordsmith it. We took Planning Next, all the input that they gathered and the draft statements and elements that they created. And then now we're bringing that to the public to ask if we got it right. So keep in mind that these are draft statements, and that's what the point of this second round of engagement is. We want to hear from the public now. Does this relate to you? Did we get it right? What is missing in these areas? What did we get wrong? How can we get this to be representative of our community? So that is the process that we've been taking. After we gather all this public input in round two from some of these areas, then we're going to come back and provide that feedback to our committees, to the city commission. We do have a couple additional focus groups with chamber leadership that we're going to provide that information to get some more feedback there. Starting off with the draft vision, and this is the one we kick off with first because it really is the highest level expression of our community's future. What do we want to be in the next 10 to 15 years? Those are some of the questions that we asked the public in that first round, and it's supposed to reflect community values and really set the tone for the strategic plan and the recommendations that come of it. But you can see there that it touches on a thriving community, high quality university community, supports the well-being of its people, capitalizing on its small town feel. There was a lot of input that we heard from the first round of engagement about the size and the small town feel of our community and the importance to maintain that and at least capitalize on it. We also heard feedback that people don't like that idea of a small town feel, and they want to see growth and change in Manhattan. So we're asking some of those questions during the second round of what are the attributes of a small town that relate to you? Does this resonate with you? We break down the vision statement a little further in defining some of those areas that we touch on as it related to a high quality community, well-being of people, and then capitalizing on the small town feel. So really looking for feedback from the community on, is this your true vision for the city of Manhattan? What's missing, what's not? We're also drafting some community values, which are really a summary of the shared interests and beliefs and desires of our community. And this, again, came from the input that we heard from over 1,000 residents talking about all the time. We hear about the people of Manhattan and the sense of community that we got. So that is a key value. The university showed up very consistently from the public. Again, the size and the small town feel. Safety was a big thing that we heard a lot. And then active lifestyle and a vibrant culture. So we use some of these value statements to help us define that vision statement for the future of some of the things we want to continue to represent and foster as a city. Goals is where you really start to see the draft elements of the plan in work, and all of these goals are outcomes that we want to see. We ask people, what do you want to see the city focus on over the next 5 years? And we broke these down into goal areas that are then going to have objectives and specific action items. An action item could be a policy, a service, or a program that the city does to meet these goals that we have. And we broke it down into 7 areas based on the feedback that we heard from the public. The first one being a well-run city organization so that we can realize the vision for the future. Without a proper city staff and folks dedicated to fulfilling that vision, it gets difficult to make that progress that the community wants to see. So that was one of the key goals that we heard. Strong, local, diverse economy. This is something that we're going to talk with the chamber about. Kristen was talking about this with Higher Paths. How do we grow the diversity of employment opportunities, competitive pay, attracting people to the community to work here? A nurtured community, engaging our residents, connecting them with services. This could be one of the goal areas where you see a lot of partnership that maybe the city doesn't offer certain services. Pawnee Mental Health is a great example of one that the city doesn't necessarily provide or oversee, but we work closely with Pawnee. We work closely with the school district. How can we engage these other stakeholders in the community and help them to ensure that we're finding the best well-being for our community? Heard a lot about sustainability and green infrastructure and incorporating those in key decisions for the community. Infrastructure is a big one, and that's one that it gets focused on a lot, and it's just key to the organization as a city and a lot of the things that the public sees on a day-to-day basis, whether it's our road and traffic infrastructure, our utilities, the water that you get that comes out of the tap in the morning, the storm water that we treat and put back into the river every day, walkable lifestyle, bikeable lifestyle, getting people to where they need to be in the most efficient and easy fashion. So that's going to be a big one as well. Sense of place, something that I've heard us talk about with the chamber at the leaders retreats in the past. How do we create a connected emotional attachment for our residents and for prospective people wanting to move to the community, whether it's through new development or redevelopment. How can we create that sense of place and grow on that so Manhattan does become the place that people want to be? Lastly, we heard a lot about fiscal responsibility, a healthy budget, transparent processes with the community and our city commission when it comes to decision making. And this strategic plan is really going to be that accountability check. This plan is going to ideally have goals, outcomes, or goals, objectives, and actions that we need to achieve over the next 5 years. And every year, the community be able to look back at this plan and ask themselves and look at it and clearly understand if we met those goals or not, or if we're making progress or not. So this is, how we're going to help facilitate that budget process and make sure we're getting the right city services and programs for the community. We did look at the mission statement of our organization as well, and this is simply put, our purpose for being. We have over 400 employees who are working for the city and running the services and programs and maintaining the infrastructure that we have. We have a pretty long mission statement currently. It was created back in 1990, I believe. Not a lot of public or organizational input from my understanding. So we wanted to take this opportunity to really look back at our mission as an organization. And the first draft that Planning Next came up with after speaking with our city staff and our staff technical committee was putting the well-being of people at the heart of everything we do. And we go further into how can we do that? Well, we need a well-trained and highly motivated professional staff so that we can move the community forward. How do we want to do that in an opening and inclusive way? We want to be forward-thinking as a city. We want to be innovative in our solutions and programming. We want to be, of course, transparent and accountable, fiscally responsible. How can we maintain that high quality of life while also protecting and maintaining our built environment? So that's kind of the draft mission statement that we have came up with. Again, these are all drafts. When I first read them, I had my own reactions to them and things that I really liked and things that I thought maybe we needed to rework. We're asking the public right now to participate in a survey. It breaks down all of these draft elements of the plan. It actually goes further into each of those goal areas and objectives that we've heard of and taken from the public input. So we're looking for prioritization there of what is most important to you when it comes to improving the local economy or improving our transportation infrastructure. So we got a QR code here. This is a direct link to the survey that you can take. It's easy. You can pull up your phone. If you can't work the QR code, I'll drop my email in here so I can send you the direct link. There's 2 ways to participate. One, there's this direct link survey. Many of you have probably went to our project website, engagemhk.org/crossroads, and registered. That same survey is on there. Some of you may have participated in our May 6th events. We did a kind of an in-person event on May 6th, which was great. Change of pace from the virtual setting, and we engaged over 100 students on K-State campus. We did the Man Happy Hour downtown on the platforms and asked people to take the survey, and reached over 100 people there. And then almost 100 folks came to City Park that night for some barbecue and ice cream to talk about the first reveal of the draft elements. And then we did have a virtual meeting on May 10th. But through the month of May, we are trying to get this survey out to as many folks as possible. So if you would like the link and you'd like to forward it along to any of your employees, any of your friends, please let me know. We're trying to, this is really the big opportunity to take these draft elements and give us your input and feedback so we can make sure that we're representing the true voice of the community. I don't know if I'm on time or over time, but if there's any questions, I'd be happy to take them.
Nope, you're great. You're great. Thanks, Jared. We don't have any questions. I will just encourage everyone, well, I'm going to say strongly encourage everyone to scan the code and participate in this survey. It is so important that the city hears from the business community and and what the business community's priorities are, some of which include growth. I mean, as a community, in order for us to be economically viable in the future, we have to grow. And so I think that the city needs to hear those priorities from the businesses. And so please scan this code, take the survey, and let's make sure that that the business community is represented in this process. So thank you again, Jared, for being with us today and for being available to us. We appreciate all your hard work and as well as your peers at City Hall. So
Thanks, Jason. I'll be happy to get with Charlotte too. I can send her a flyer that we could send out to all the folks who've registered, and you can pass that along to anyone you know as well.
Perfect. Thank you. Our last speaker today is actually one of the first people I met when I moved to Manhattan 2 years ago. Sarah Siders is Executive Director of Spark, the nonprofit entrepreneurship hub of Greater Manhattan. After formally launching Spark in the summer of 2020, Sarah's role has been to engage entrepreneurs and stakeholders in expanding current entrepreneurial programming in the region, as well as developing new programs, capital, and educational opportunities for business owners and innovators. Under Sarah's leadership, Spark was successful in launching 2 core entrepreneurship cohorts and developing a virtual resource hub for entrepreneurs, both launching this summer. Sarah brings prior entrepreneurship and nonprofit leadership experience to Spark and is actively working to enhance diversity and inclusion efforts for underrepresented business owners throughout the region. She earned her master's degree in clinical social work from Washburn and her bachelor's degree in social work from Kansas State. So please welcome one of our very important partners at the Chamber, Sarah Siders.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that introduction, Jason. It's great to be here with you all. Thank you to Kristen and New Boston for sponsoring today. Thanks to Jared and Robin for your presentations. I really appreciated hearing from both of you, and now I'm excited to engage with both of those things. I already tweeted about higher paths, so I'm an engaged citizen today. Jared, I got to finish my survey, but yeah, this is great. And thank you so much. I am looking forward, as Jared said, to being together again and being able to meet with everybody. But I want to get started here and let you know about some of the work that we are doing here with Spark. So I'm going to get started here on the presentation. So I think a lot of you have probably heard a little bit about Spark. We've been trying to get the word out over the last year. We had a formal launch last September, right in the middle of the pandemic. We did an outdoor event, and it was pretty well attended. Over 100, maybe 120 people were there, which was pretty successful given the circumstances. And so we've been getting the word out about the types of services that we're doing. But a lot of what we did in the beginning, as we were just beginning our work, was a little bit underground. It was meeting with stakeholders and partners, programs who support entrepreneurs throughout our local region, but also throughout the state and throughout the country, learning about who has a successful entrepreneurship hub, who are their partners, what are their funding sources, what are their success stories, what are those best practices, because we wanted to build a sustainable organization that can support entrepreneurship and innovation for years to come through Spark and our partners. So our vision is to be a nonprofit organization with a vision to connect and successfully launch entrepreneurs and ignite an inclusive culture of entrepreneurship and innovation throughout Greater Manhattan. So we have some incredible partners and sponsors. We have Kansas Gas Service that came on this year, specifically in a partnership with the Black entrepreneurs of the Flint Hills. And that's been a really exciting partnership that we've been continuing to build out. We also have core partners with partnerships or sponsorships through the Manhattan Chamber of Commerce and K-State University. We have partnerships, and that looks like sometimes collaborating to build a program or supporting a program that already exists. So we work extensively with the Black entrepreneurs of the Flint Hills, with Washburn University's Bright Center, connected with SBDC. We work with SBDC, we work with Pottawatomie County Economic Development, Network Kansas. We're working with Chad Jackson and his faculty at the Center for Advancement of Entrepreneurship, K-State Research and Extension, and most recently, I haven't gotten the logo on here yet, but connecting with the Junction City Area Chamber of Commerce and doing some collaborative programming there as well. So when we came on board, there was already some existing entrepreneurship efforts in place. And so we wanted to be able to get behind that and back that through sponsorship, through, giving our time, through promoting what was happening and helping to identify what kind of programs already existed and help them to expand out, to gain more partnerships, to collaborate better, to get access to more resources. And so we came on and we started sponsoring and supporting 1 Million Cups. I'm an active organizer on the team there, Startup MHK, just connecting with the entrepreneurs there and following up with them. We work closely again with the Black entrepreneurs of the Flint Hills who have a membership at the Fellow Co-working, which is one of the programs that we run to give entrepreneurs kind of like a middle ground space. If they when they want to move out of their living room or their garage, and they're not ready for a full office yet, where do you go? You go to co-working. And so we've got some great co-working locations, Ironclad and K-State Office Park, and also the Fellow. And that's just one of the, ways that our community is actively supporting entrepreneurs in between. So we also launched a group called Women in Entrepreneurship. It was just kind of a Facebook group, online community, and we've created a third Thursday educational event. It's actually happening tonight in person, which we're excited about at Ironclad Co-working. And we also have worked together with Riley County Extension Youth Development and some of the youth entrepreneurship activities at the Manhattan High School. And we're expanding that program throughout the year as well, and just making it more supportive of young entrepreneurs and connecting them with the university and with area business owners and leaders. So this has just been a really fun year, even though it was a pandemic. I know that, and maybe I shouldn't say it was a fun year, but it's been fun to see what we're capable of, and to see the entrepreneurial spirit in Manhattan is very much alive, because just one of the things that happens with my job a lot is that I'm, just at community events talking with people, and inevitably I get into a conversation about what their business idea is and what they would do if they could start a business. And so I'm like, okay, well, we're here. We've got classes for you. We've got programs for you. We've got people for you. We're building a mentorship program. And so don't do that by yourself. That's not a thing that you want to take on by yourself. There's a supportive community that exists and is being developed here in our entrepreneurship ecosystem. So when we started, it's been 10 and a half months now. So we're almost a year old. Everyone's celebrating anniversaries. We're not there yet. We're almost one. But we had some 2-year goals. And initially what we wanted to do was to understand what exists in our entrepreneurship ecosystem across our Tri-County area. It's specifically focused in Manhattan. That's where we're based. We wanted to say what resources are here, what programs are here, who are the people that are supporting entrepreneurs, and who are the active entrepreneurs in our ecosystem that want to help see this network just grow and develop. And so we wanted to hear from those entrepreneurs and innovators, and we wanted to hear from those programs and start pulling these people together into different spaces so that we could work together more collaboratively. And then at the 4 to 6 month mark, we were looking at how to fill the gaps that we noticed. So we could say, here's everything that exists. What isn't here? Who isn't here? And how do we fill those gaps through collaborative partnerships? So we've been working on that. Everything that we do is with a partnership. We don't do things just on our own, because there's so many people out there doing amazing work in entrepreneurship. There's no reason for Spark to work on our own. And we also want to make sure that we're also talking to everyone so that we're not duplicating services or working in silos. So by year 1, we wanted to be able to say that we have supported existing programming, that we've created new programming, and we've been able to centralize resources and events for entrepreneurs. And I am proud to say we have already reached that goal. We are still getting the word out. And so people knowing about this is important. And so I'll be able to share a little bit about what that looks like here. Our goals for year 2 is creating additional access to capital, developing some funds here locally that will provide seed capital and additional sources of capital for businesses. We want to build out our mentorship program. We have it, kind of the infrastructure in place, and we'll be doing a campaign to recruit entrepreneurs and other types of mentors, and then other people to receive mentorship. So we're excited to get that started. But again, we are ahead of our goals so far, which has been really fun. One thing you'll probably see if you follow us on Facebook is that we are telling stories of business owners. And it's very important for people who are inside our community and outside our community to see Greater Manhattan as a great place to start and grow your business. And so we're telling lots of business stories because we want to make sure that that's the one of the big narratives. We talk about CrossroadsMHK and how does Manhattan define itself. I think we can begin to say, hey, you know, we have a lot of really strong business success stories here, and let's talk about those and celebrate those. And so if you'd follow us on Facebook, you can help get the word out as well. Every time we share a story, you can share it too. So really early on, we had some great partners who helped us to identify 3 main priorities. And it probably isn't any big surprise, but we decided through this, long process, taking about 2 or 3 months, to work with University Economic Development Association and some of our local stakeholders. We identified that access to resources, capital solutions, and talent retention were the 3 main priorities that Spark needed to be working on with our partners. And one of the things that we've done is we've hired a cross-cultural consultant to help ensure that we have an inclusive ecosystem at every step of the way. So we're looking for people to get involved in our ecosystem. And I think something that can happen is people can say, well, I'm not a business owner, I'm not an entrepreneur, and I don't even want to start my own business. So this whole thing isn't for me. And I would like to adjust your expectation and say, yes, it is for you, because we all support entrepreneurs. If you're not an entrepreneur, you might be providing a service to entrepreneurs as a marketing agency, an attorney, an accountant, a lender. There's so many different services that our entrepreneurs are utilizing to help have a strong foundation. You might be offering a program or a service of some kind. You might have experience in business that would make you a great mentor. You might be interested in investing in early stage companies and startups here locally. So there is a place for you. Everyone is involved. Everyone is part of the entrepreneurship ecosystem. And so we want to make sure that everybody is a part of this and connected. And I'll show you an on-ramp here in a minute. So our Spark Virtual Hub, this was a really exciting development. We found a company called Startup Space. They build virtual ecosystems for entrepreneurship regions across the country. They work with entire states. They work with university communities. They work with cities. And so we were very pleased to find a platform that allowed us to track and connect with people through a CRM, track core metrics for new businesses that we're starting and the economic impact, but also track demographics so we can show that we're making an impact in an inclusive way for underrepresented businesses, as that's one of our goals. We wanted to be able to aggregate resources from the region and across the state for our business owners, as well as events and classes, and offer mentorship programs. And this virtual platform allows us to do all of that. So that's really exciting. We've also been able to launch 2 core entrepreneurship education cohorts for the first time in this area. These have never been offered before, and this is really exciting. These are both Kaufman-based programs. These are nationally recognized entrepreneurship education programs. Kaufman Fast Track is the core program. It's an 8-week program for just exploring the basics of your business, whether you're pre-venture or you're in those early stages. It's a great program for people who are kind of in that first part of building out their business and being able to take a really solid look at what how they want their business model is a part of that, value proposition, financial forecasting. There's so many really key elements, and anybody can benefit from it in those early years. Entrepreneur Business Basics is fast track designed for entrepreneurs of color. And so we filled that class very quickly. So there's about 20 businesses in that class. And then we have Kaufman Fast Track. We are still taking applications for that, and we'll be starting that this summer as well. So if you know of a business owner, or you are one who is kind of starting off in the early stages and wants to get started and is ready for something of an accelerated program, but wants to explore those core pieces of your business inside a supportive community, building a peer and professional network, we highly recommend Kaufman Fast Track. So I'll show you where to access all of this. Let's see here. I'm going to stop my share and head over to our website because I want you to see this so that you know where to go. So SparkMHK.com is kind of the front face of our virtual hub. And so this is our website here. When you go to this button that says Explore Spark's Virtual Hub, it'll take you to a page that prompts you to put in your name and email. You'll receive a temporary password. And then when you receive that password, you will be able to go in and see our dashboard and the kind of the back end of the virtual hub. Now, this is my dashboard, but I'm showing you this because I want you to see that this is the kind of numbers that we will have access to. We're going to be able to see how many events are in our community, how many people are responding, how many active users we have. And you can see that we're still new here. We have 83 people who are part of our community who have registered to be listed in our directory. So now when you build a profile, what it'll look like for you is more like this. You'll be able to create a profile and identify yourself as a mentor, as an investor, as a community builder, as an entrepreneur, as a service provider. You'll be able to do that. And you can see I've listed mine right here. Mentor, nonprofit, and ecosystem builder. Those are things that best describe me. And I can put all of my expertise, interests, industries in here. And then I can say, well, who else is here? And I can go to the member directory and identify other folks that are participating in our entrepreneurship community. Another really neat function here, again, we've got information for Fast Track and Entrepreneur Business Basics, our core programs. Startup Space allows us to have kind of what's called an iframe embed and put this into our website where we can, the registry here, the search function for resources and events is available here on our external page. So these are free tools that anybody can use across our region. And you can search for a resource by industry stage or interest. It just kind of auto-populates some of those here. So we have programs and events that are aggregated there. And then we have another search tool that is specifically for events. So people can see, look at that, Good Morning Manhattan. That's where we are right now. So this works. And you can enter this in, and again, by interest or industry, you can search for events throughout our area that support what you're doing. We also have some other tools telling entrepreneurship stories, again, here on our website, and also on social media. That's a big part of what we're doing. And again, building collaborative programming with our partners to make sure that our entrepreneurs and innovators have what they need. One thing that we are seeing ourselves doing, and we're going to be doing some strategic planning for year 2, but we are seeing that we have some incredible opportunities here throughout Manhattan, and especially in partnership with the university and some of our other learning institutions, to be able to step into industry-related innovation throughout the next kind of phase of our growth. So we're wanting to build an infrastructure for all business owners. 92% of businesses are small businesses throughout the country. But we want to be able to say, okay, who are our innovators? Who are our next large scale companies that are going to take Manhattan into the next era of success and progress? And so we want to be able to have services and resources and programming for them as well. So we're going to continue working with our partners toward that end, but we will be looking at industries here in the area, ag, animal health, bioscience and technology, those kinds of things that are here. We want to be able to explore that and what innovation looks like in those areas and how Spark can support it. So the one ask that I have for you today is to go to SparkMHK.com, click this coral button here, explore Spark's Virtual Hub, enter your name and email, and set up a profile. We want to know that you're here, and we want to know what you do. You can even go into the resource directory and add your business as a resource. You can list yourself as a service provider. If you interact with small business owners or entrepreneurs and you provide a service to them, you can go into submit resource right here and enter the information and list it as a service provider when you're tagging it. And you know, if you're a lender and you're processing SBA loans, if you're an accountant and you work with small business, you know, you might not be working with smaller scale entrepreneurs or startups all the time, but you may still want to list yourself in here because this is going to be a growing directory of people who are working with new and growing businesses. And so if you're kind of maybe on the second stage side, that's okay. You can even put that in your description. But we want to make sure that everyone who is serving entrepreneurs, business owners, and innovators here is listed in our directory. We want to be able to provide those services to our entrepreneurs, and we want to demonstrate just the really high level of activity in entrepreneurship that's happening. And so again, with these metrics tools, we're going to be able to do that. So please visit sparkmhk.com, go to Explore the Hub, set up your profile, get involved, get engaged. We want to make sure that you are represented, your service, and that you have a place and on-ramp for yourself. So go check out our website. We'd love to have you. And if you want to talk a little bit more about your place, if you're like, man, I could do a lot of things. What's my role in the ecosystem? Well, that's where we go and get coffee, or we go get a beer and we talk about it because there is a place for you. Absolutely. And we want to make sure you get plugged in. Thanks for having me today.
All right, Sarah, thank you so much. And we appreciate your passion for startups. And it's so important to our community going forward. As a reminder to our members, this is a joint project between the city, Advantage Manhattan through the chamber, and some other private businesses. And we couldn't be more proud of the advancements that Sarah and her team have made over the last 10 months. So thank you for being with us today. Thank you for your hard work on this, and thank you for your passion for startups. That is the end of our program. I do have a couple of announcements, so please hang with us. A couple of events that I really would like for you to get on your calendars. One is in the short term, June 8th. Our next power lunch is with U.S. Representative Tracy Mann, so our new congressman. So get that. It's 11:30. It will be at the Alumni Center. So that's our first power lunch back in person. So get that on your calendar. And then July 29th and 30th is the date for the Regional Leaders Retreat. It will be in Manhattan this year. It's delayed, obviously, from January, but and it will be at the Hilton Conference Center. And so get that on your calendar. We'll be sending out sign-up information very soon. A few other events to get on your calendars. Chamber Vibe is 9 a.m. on the 26th. We have a couple of ribbon cuttings on the 27th, which is a week from today. One is at the VFW Veterans Memorial Walkway at 10 a.m. The other is at Rockin' K's at 4 p.m. So good time to be at Rockin' K's, right? Get out and go to 4 p.m. and to the ribbon cutting, and then just hang out. And that's, of course, at the Foundation Business Park north of on Kimball. And then on June 9th, we have a combined MRC luncheon with Junction City to celebrate Victory Week. Commanding General D.A. Sims is the guest speaker. So email Janet in our office to register. And then last, we just opened nominations for Business Awards, which is August 3rd. Make sure you nominate business for one of our awards. We had a lot of participation in that last year. It was, of course, it was a virtual event, but this year will be live and in person, and we will be selling tickets and tables for that very soon. So with that, I want to thank our speakers again for being with us today. Of course, want to thank New Boston and congratulate them again on their grant announcement. And thank you all for being with us today. So with that, we will dismiss everyone.